In 1892 to 1896, Rizal lived in exile in faraway Dapitan, a remote town in Mindanao which was under the missionary jurisdiction of the Jesuits. This fourth interregnum in his life was tediously unexciting, but it was abundantly fruitful, with varied achievements. Following, he practiced medicine, pursued scientific studies, continued his artistic and literary works, widened his knowledge of languages, established school for boys, promoted community projects, invented a wooden machine for making bricks, engaged in farming and commerce.
Beginning of Exile in Dapitan. The streamer Cebu, which brought Rizal in Dapitan, carried a letter from Father Pablo Castil, a superior of Jesuit Society in the Philippines, to Father Antonio Obac, Jesuit Parish, priest of Dapitan. Hers are three following conditions of the letter. First, that Rizal publicly retract his errors concerning religion and make statements that were clearly pro-Spanish and against revolutions. Second, that he perform the church rites and make a general confession of his past life. Lastly, that henceforth he conduct himself in an exemplary manner as a Spanish subject and a man of religious. Consequently, Rizal did not agree on these conditions. He lived in the house of the commandant, Captain Carnicero. On August 26, 1892, Rizal wrote a poem entitled A Don Ricardo Carnicero on the occasions of the captain's birthday. Wins in Manila Lottery. On September 21, 1892, the sleepy town of Dapitan burst in hectic excitement. The mailboat Butuan was approaching the town with colored pennants flying in the sea breeze. Captain Carnicero, thinking that a high Spanish official was coming, hastily dressed in gala uniform, ordered the town folk to gather at the shore, and himself rushed there, bringing a brass band. The mailboat Butuan brought no Spanish officials, but the happy tidings that the lottery ticket number 9736, jointly owned by Captain Carnicero, Dr. Rizal, and Francisco Equilon, Spanish residents of Dipolog, a neighboring town of Dapitan, won the second prize of 20,000 in government-owned Manila lottery. Rizal's share of the winning lottery ticket was 6,200. Upon receiving the sum, he gave 2,000 to his father and 200 to his friend Basa in Hong Kong, and the rest he invested well by purchasing agricultural land along the coast of Talisay, about 1 kilometer away from Dapitan. Rizal's winning in the Manila lottery reveals an aspect of his lighter side. He never drank hard liquor and never smoked, but he was a lottery adept. During the first sojourn in Madrid from 1882 to 1885, he always invested at least 3 pesitas every month in lottery ticket. This was his only vice, commented Vencelao A. Ritana, his first Spanish biographer and former enemy.
Rizal Pastel debate on religion. It started when Father Pastel sent him a book by Sarda with advice that the latter or Rizal should be desist from his mahaderas or foolishness, imbue religion from presumptions of individual judgment and self-esteem. This interesting debate between the two brilliant polemicists ended inclusively. Rizal could not be convinced by Pastel's argument, thus he lived in Dapitan, beyond the pale of his mother church. The debate can be read in 4 letters. January 20, 1890, he wrote to Blumentritt from Paris, which say, I want to hit the friars, but only friars who utilize religion, not only as shield, but also as a weapon. Castle, fortress, armor, etc. Behind the debate, Pastels and Rizal were friends. Pastel gave Rizal a copy of Imitation, De Cristo by Father Thomas as a Kempis, Imitation of Christ. Rizal gave Pastel a vase of St. Fool which he had made.
Rizal challenges a Frenchman to duel. While Rizal was still debating with Father Pastel by means of exchange of letters, he became involved in a quarrel with a French acquaintance in Dapitan, Mr. Juan Lardet, a businessman. This man purchased many logs from the lands of Rizal. It so happened that some of the logs were of poor quality. Lardet, in a letter written to Antonio Miranda, a Dapitan merchant and friend of Rizal, expressed his disgust with the business deals and stated that if he were a truthful man, he would have told me that the lumber not included in the account were bad. Miranda discreetly forwarded Lardet's letter to Rizal, one of the hero's weakness, it should be noted, was his sensitivity. When he read Lardet's letter, he flared up in anger, regarding with the Frenchman's unsavory comment as an affront to his integrity. Immediately he confronted Lardet and challenged him to a duel. When the commandant heard of the incident, Carnicero told that the Frenchman to apologize rather than accept the challenge. My friend, you have not a Chinaman's chance in a fight with Rizal. On a field of honor, Rizal is an expert in martial arts, particularly in fencing and pistol shooting. On March 30, 1893, Lardet wrote a letter to Rizal, apologizing for the insulting comment. On 1890, Rizal's sensitivity caused him to challenge Antonio Luna and W. E. Ritana in the same year.
Rizal and Father Sanchez. Father Ubac, the Cora of Dapitan. Father Jose Villaclara, the Cora of Dipolog. Father Francisco de Paula Sanchez, Rizal's favorite teacher at the Ateneo de Manila, the only Spanish priest who defended the Rizal's Noli Me Tangere. They argued theologically in a friendly manner, but all the efforts of Sanchez were in vain. He enjoyed Rizal's company, and he even assisted him in beautifying the town plaza. On his birthday, Rizal gave him a precious gift, a manuscript entitled Estudios de sobre la lengua Tagala, or Studies on the Tagalog language.
Analytic life in the Dapitan on August 23, 1893. Members of Rizal's family talk, and investing him in order to enrich these loneliness in the isolated outposts on Spanish power. In the Morolan among these were his mother, sister, Trinidad Maria, Narcia, and nephews, Ignacio, Stanislao, Mauricio, and Protesio. A plot is the house by the share of the Lisai, surrounded by fruit of trees. He had also another house for these schoolboys and hospital for his vintage. On December 19, 1893, Rizal wrote to Bloomington describing his life in Dapitan.
Rizal encountered the first spy on November 18, 1903. Rizal was living peacefully and happily at his house in Talisay, a kilometer away from Dapitan. On November 3, 1893, the spy with assumed name of Pablo Mercado and posing as a relative secretly visited Rizal at his house on the night. He introduced an affair if button with the initial PM as an evidence of his kinship with Rizal family. On May 4, 1893, Captain Juan Gis, who succeeded Captain Carnicero as command in Dapitan, ordered arrest of Pablo Mercado and introduced Anastasio Adriatico, investigate him immediately. Florencio Namanan, the real name of Pablo Mercado, he was a native of Cagayan de Misamis, single, and about 30 years old. He was hired by the Catholic friars to a secret mission in Dapitan to introduce himself to Rizal as a friend and relative to spy on Rizal activities and to filch certain letters and writing of Rizal which might incriminate him the revolutionary movement.
Dapitan. Rizal practiced medicine in Dapitan. He had many patients, but most of them were poor so that he even gave free medicine in August 23. His mother and sister Maria arrived in Dapitan and lived with him for a year and a half. He operated on his mother's right eye. Rizal fame as a physician, particularly as an eye specialist, despite far and wide. He had many patients who came from different parts in the Philippines. Ignacio Tumarong, a rich Filipino patient who was able to see again because of his ophthalmic skill. He paid 3,000 since he was highly gratified by the restoration of his sight. An Englishman, a rich man, paid 500 Don Lorenzo Azcárraga, a rich hacendero of Aklan, who has also heard of high element and paid Rizal a cargo of sugar.
System in Dapitan. In Dapitan, he applied his knowledge of engineering by constructing a system of waterworks in order to furnish clean water to the town people. He supplemented his training as a surveyor by his reading of engineering books so that he came to know about engineering. Mr. H.F. Cameron praised Rizal engineering feat. Community projects for Dapitan. Rizal spent many months draining the marshes in order to get rid of malaria that infested in Dapitan. The 500 pesos which an English patient paid him was used by him to equip the town with its lighting system. Another community project of Rizal was the beautification of Dapitan in front of the church. Rizal Father Sanchez made a huge relief map of Mindanao out of earth, stone and grass.
Rizal as a teacher. In 1893, he established a school which expired until the end of his exile in July 1896.
On March 13, he wrote a letter to Blumentritt which says that he had 16 pupils in his school and that these pupils did not pay any tuition. Rizal taught his boys reading, writing, language, Spanish and English, geography, history, mathematics, arithmetic, and geometry, industrial work, nature, study, murals, and gymnastics. He trained them how to collect specimens of plants and animals, to love, work, and to behave like men.
Hymn to Talisay. Rizal conducted his school at his home in Talisay near Dapitan, where he had his farm and hospital. His favorite rendezvous with his boys was under a Talisay tree, after which the place was named. In honor of Talisay, he wrote a poem entitled Hymno at Talisay for his pupils to sing. Contributions to science. Rizal found Mindanao a rich virgin field for collecting specimens with his barato or sailboat, and accompanied by his pupils, he explored the jungles and coast, seeking specimens of insects, birds, snakes, lizards, frogs, shells, and plants. He sent these specimens to the Museum of Europe, especially the Dresden Museum. In payment for this valuable specimen, the Europe scientist sent him scientific books and surgical instruments. During his 4-year exile in Dapitan, Rizal built up a rich collection of conchology which consists of 346 shells representing 203 species. He discovered some rare specimens which were named in his honor by the scientist. Among these were Draco rizali or a flying dragon, Apogonia rizali or a small beetle, Aracophoros rizali or rare frog. Rizal also conducted anthropological, ethnographical, archaeological, geological, and graphical studies, as revealed by his voluminous correspondence with his scientist friends in Europe. Linguistic studies. A born linguistic, Rizal continued his studies of languages. In Dapitan, he learned the Visayan, Sabanom, and Malay languages. He knew 22 languages as follows: Tagalog, Ilocano, Visayan, Subanon, Spanish, Latin, Greek, English, French, German, Arabic, Malay, Hebreo, Sanskrit, Dutch, Catalan, Italian, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, Swedish, and Russian. Artistic works in Dapitan. Rizal continued his artistic pursuits in Dapitan. He contributed his painting skill to the Sisters of Charity who were preparing the sanctuary of the Holy Virgin in their private chapel. Rizal made sketches of persons and things that attracted him in Dapitan. He drew, for instance, the 3 rare species of animal life: the dragon, the frog, and the beetle, which he had discovered. He had sketches of the numerous fishes caught in the Dapitan waters. One day, in 1894, some of his pupils secretly went to Dapitan in a boat from Talisay. A puppy of Syria, or Rizal's dog, tried to follow and was devoured by a crocodile. To stress the moral of the incident, he modeled a statue representing the mother of the dog killing the crocodile by a way of avenging her lost puppy, and called it the Mother's Revenge. Other sculptural works of Rizal in Dapitan were a bust of Father Gireco, or the one of his Ateneo professor, a statue of a girl called the Dapitan Girl, a wood carving of Josephine Bracken or his wife, and a bust of St. Paul which he gave to Father Pastels. Rizal as a farmer. He bought 16 hectares of land in Talisay. Later, he acquires more lands until his total holding reached 70 hectares containing 6,000 hemp plants, 1,000 coconut trees, and numerous fruit trees, sugarcane, corn, coffee, and cacao. He encouraged the Dapitan farmers to adopt the modern agricultural methods. He said, "We will establish a new Calamba." Rizal as businessman. Aside from farming, Rizal engaged in business in partnership with Ramon Carrion, a Dapitan merchant. He made profitable business ventures in fishing, copra, and hemp industries. He invited his relatives, particularly Saturnina and Hidalgo, to come to Mindanao, for there is vast and ample fields for business in the islands. He particularly told Saturnina that in Dapitan she could profitably engage in textile, jewelry, and hemp business. Rizal wrote a letter to Hidalgo on January 19, 1893. According to Rizal, he instructed Hidalgo to help him buy a big net for trawl fishing or pukutan, and to send him two good Calamba fishermen who could teach the Dapitan folks better methods of fishing. Rizal organized on January 1, 1895, the Cooperative Association of Dapitan Farmers, according to its constitution, which he had drafted. Its purpose were to improve the farm products, obtain better outlets for them, collect funds for their purchase, and help the producer and workers by establishing a store wherein they can buy prime commodities at moderate prices. Rizal's inventive ability. One little known fact about Rizal was that he was also an inventor. It should be remembered that in 1887, while practicing medicine in Calamba, he invented a cigarette lighter which he sent as a gift to Blumentritt. He called it Sulpukan. This unique cigarette lighter was made of wood. Its mechanism, said Rizal, is based on the principle of compressed air. During his exile in Dapitan, he invented a machine for making bricks. Next is my retreat. In February 1895, Doña Chodora, with her eyesight fully restored, returned to Manila. During her long stay in Dapitan, she saw how busy her talented son and was regretted that he had neglected the muses. She requested him to write a poetry again. In response to her request, Rizal wrote a beautiful poem about his serene life as an exile in Dapitan and sent it to her on October 22, 1895. The poem was Mi Retiro or My Retreat, which is acclaimed by literary critics as one of the best ever penned by Rizal. Rizal and Josephine Bracken. Rizal felt lonely in Dapitan. He needed somebody to cheer him up in his lonely exile. In God's own time, this somebody came to Dapitan, and she was Josephine Bracken, an Irish girl. Rizal and Josephine fell in love with each other at first sight. After a whirlwind romance of 1 month, they agreed to marry, but Father Ubak, the priest of Dapitan, refused to marry them without the permission of the Bishop of Cebu. At one time, Rizal wrote a poem for Josephine which runs Josephine. In early part of 1896, Rizal was extremely happy because Josephine was expecting a baby. Unfortunately, he played a prank on her, frightening her so that she prematurely gave birth to an 8-month baby boy who lived only for 3 hours. This lost son of Rizal was named Francisco, in honor of Don Francisco, the hero's father, and was buried in Dapitan. Rizal and the Katipunan. The secret revolutionary society called Katipunan, which he founded on July 7, 1892. In a secret meeting of the Katipunan at a little river called Bitukang Manok near the town of Pasig on May 2, 1896, Dr. Pio Valenzuela was named emissary to Dapitan in order to inform Rizal of the plan of the Katipunan to launch a revolution for freedom's sake. Rizal objected to Bonifacio's audacious project to plunge the country in a bloody revolution. He was of the sincere belief that it was premature, for two reasons. First, the people are not ready for a revolution. Second, arms and funds must first be collected before raising the cry of revolution. He also disapproved of the other plan of the Katipunan to rescue him because he had given his words of honor to the Spanish authorities and he did not want to break it. Volunteers as military doctor in Cuba. Months before the Katipunan contacted him, Rizal had offered his services as military doctor in Cuba, which was then in the throes of a revolution and raging yellow fever epidemic. There was a shortage of physicians to ministers to the needs of the Spanish troops of the Cuba people. It was Blumentritt who told him of the deplorable health situation in war-ridden Cuba and advised him to volunteer as army physician there. Acting upon Blumentritt's advice, Rizal wrote to Governor General Ramon Blanco Despujols' successor on December 17, 1895, offering his service as military doctor in Cuba. A letter from Governor Blanco dated July 1, 1896 arrived in Dapitan notifying him of the acceptance. The Song of the Traveler. Great was Rizal's joy in receiving the gladsome news from Malacanang. At last, he was free once more. He was going to travel to Europe and then to Cuba. It was with this joyous thought of resuming his travels that he wrote his heart-warming poem, El Canto del Viajero, or the Song of the Traveler. Adios, Dapitan. On July 31, 1896, Rizal's 4 years' exile in Dapitan came to an end. At midnight of the date, he embarked on board the steamer España. He was accompanied by Josephine, Narcisa, Angelica, or Narcisa's daughter, his 3 nephews, and 6 pupils. Almost all Dapitan folks, young and old, were at the shore to bid him goodbye. Many wept as the steamer sailed away, especially the other pupils who are too poor to accompany their beloved teacher to Manila. As farewell music, the town brass band strangely played the dolorous funeral march of Chopin. As its melancholy melody floated on the air, Rizal must have felt it deeply. For with his presentiment death, it seemed an obsequious requiem. As the steamer pushed out in the sea, Rizal gazed the last time on Dapitan with his waving in farewell salute to its kind and hospitable folks, and with a crying heart filled with tears of nostalgic memories. When he could no longer see the dim shoreline, he suddenly went to his cabin and wrote his diary. I have been in that district 4 years, 13 days, and few hours.